Brazel, who I think is a mutual friend of ours, has
Uh-huh.
introduced me to your work, and he said to me, "You have to get her on your show. You'll love her work." And I did look at your work. There are two things that happened actually. One is I looked at your work and I go, I recognize half of these images because I've seen them before. I just haven't put two
Oh,
and two
cool.
together.
You
You know,
haven't put the phones to the images.
yes, exactly. And so and so when he said he pointed you out to me at imaging, and so I checked out your Instagram. I'm like, I know her work. It's like but again, my brain just didn't put two and two together. Um, and there is something. Well, there's a lot of stuff I love about your work, but um, and I talk about this quite a lot on this podcast, which is this marriage between um, photography and the post production.
So I usually introduce myself as a fine art conceptual photographer, and basically what um, I do on location surreal and whimsical female portraiture. That's like more specific of my genre, and um, yeah, I guess you can say it's like a something in between photography and digital art because it's obviously not just photography for me, and of course it's not just all digital on the computer. So it's something in between. I use However, I use, of course, I use my camera. I do all my own photography myself, and I usually travel to real locations. I use real props, real costumes, installation, and I try to shoot as much as possible on set. Because first of all, I like it. I think it's fun, and second, it helps me create these images look more realistic and convincing. And then, of course, I do a lot of post production, compositing, and editing after it. And that's for me personally, that's where the magic happens. Like, usually I shoot to edit, if that makes sense. So I treat photography more of a way to collect material to create something that is not really possible to capture in camera, to later edit and create this like whimsical, surreal images. So for me, usually when I do a conceptual photo shoot, people asking me to, "Can you show me what you got on camera?" And I'm like, "That's not what you're gonna see in there, like, at all. That's not even close." Because I already know, I've been doing this kind of photography for, like, 15 years now, so I already have a clear vision of what it's gonna look in the end. Okay, maybe not clear vision, but I have pretty good idea what it's gonna be in the end, at least what I have in my mind. So when people look at my raw images, they're not they're not even close to finished product. So for me, editing and sitting in my computer, that's where magic happens. And to be completely frank with you, I don't like shooting. I like editing. Well, first of all, again, because that's where the finished image is going to start shaping for me. I can finally see where it's going and how it's going to look like. Second, I'm an introvert, so for me, less dealing with people and going outside is better. So I prefer, being in my pajamas, sitting at home and just with my cat and a cup of tea and just editing uh, through half of the night, sitting until like 3, 4 a.m. in the morning and just by myself. So that's my happy place. So yeah, that's pretty much my process, I guess.
We'll talk about process in depth in a minute. I think a little bit more because there's a lot of stuff that you've just said. I completely recognize. It's also something I'm trying to bring across sometimes when when I speak to an audience about the whole process and being able to, it, when you take step one, you already know what step five is going to be. And again, this is going to inform how you approach the whole shooting part. For example, is something I talk about a lot. Um, But I want to explore your creative thinking or thought process a little bit more because, for those of you who are joining us on YouTube, you'll be seeing some of the images flying in, and for those of you listening to audio, I highly recommend that you at some point, take a minute and hop over to YouTube and check out this conversation on YouTube. And of course, just be advised that all of Anya's links, website links and everything else are going to be in the description. So I highly recommend you check this out because it's very difficult to put into words the creativity that's happening and the detail that's happening in your images. And so I want to explore your sort of creative thought process a little bit. Um, and I want to start with asking you how much of what we end up seeing in the final image is pre-planned and conceptualized from the beginning, and how much is chance and experimentation afterwards?
That's a good question. I would say half and half, maybe 50-50, because of course I do a lot of planning. I don't go out. Well, I mean, sometimes I do, but 90% of the time I don't go out just to, oh, I'm gonna, go there and take some headshots. So that's not my type of photography. Um, Usually I have a very clear, a specific idea in my mind. And there's a lot of thought process and pre-production before I even go out there and shoot something. Because first of all, like I said, I don't do just like a traditional portraiture. Like I don't do just headshots in a way. Even like fine art portraiture is not really, it's not that simple. Like it's not a traditional portraiture. So I always try to add something to it, some kind of like element of either fantasy or whimsy or some kind of like surrealism to it. So I really like to play with metaphors and associations and kind of like, take ordinary objects and imagine them in a completely different way. For example, I have an image where I took regular light bulbs and I attach them to, like a how do you call it? Not a socket, but like when you screw them into this thing. Um,
I know exactly what you mean. I'm trying to think of the
I
words.
think it's a socket. Anyway,
It's kind
so
of, yeah. So
I hang them from the tree. I plug them into the outlet in the wall, and I had like a really big extension cord. So and I hung them in the tree in a yard in the backyard, and I lit them so they are light bulbs and they're lit, but they look like fruit, like because they're pear shaped. Um, so this kind of thing, and there was like a subject, a model, holding a basket again full of those light bulbs, kind of like she's picking up the fruit from the tree, but they're light bulbs. And I shot it at night when it was dark outside.
thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that clip, then press here for the full episode in glorious Technicolor. Hey, and don't forget to subscribe.